On the heels of the best SummerSlam in years, we get one of the best Raws in a while and possibly one of the most exciting Raws all year. There were plenty of storyline changes, developments, character changes. Some were surprising and out of nowhere. Some were a little bit less out of nowhere, but still kind of unexpected. And some were quite expected. These are my assorted thoughts on the August 5th, 2024 WWE RAW, with some thoughts on the August 12th RAW as well, too. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications to get all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, WWE premium live event reviews like my review of SummerSlam 2024, my very positive review, wrestling opinion pieces, and assorted thoughts on SmackDown and, of course, Raw. Now, I'm recording this Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. Yes, the August 12th Raw was last night, and I have seen it. So why am I talking about the August 5th Raw? Well, I was really swamped to get a bunch of coverage out last week. I didn't get this one out in time, but I think it was such an important episode that it's best to focus on this. Now, to catch up, I'm going to include some extraneous thoughts on the follow-up on the August 12th episode, last night's episode, along with my assorted thoughts on the 5th. Let's start with probably the most surprising part. CM Punk came out at the 9 o'clock hour. He gave a positive promo, even though he lost. He's still very happy because instead of taking 8 months, as the doctors told him, it only took him 5 to heal. Now, that's not the unexpected part. Neither is the fact that Seth Rollins interrupted him, came out and challenged him basically to a fight on the spot. The two of them almost went into it right there on Raw until Drew McIntyre interrupted from the crowd, taunted CM Punk with the bracelet, and Punk followed him into the crowd, leaving Seth alone in the ring. Now, none of that was surprising. In fact, it was very logical, almost expected follow-up from their match at SummerSlam, or for Punk and Drew's match with Rollins as the referee. Of course, like I said, it did leave Seth Rollins alone in the ring, and who confronted him in the ring was surprising. Out of nowhere, Bronson Reed attacked Rollins. After an earlier, at the time, unremarkable segment where Bronson Reed told Raw General Manager Adam Pearce that if Pearce didn't find him an opportunity, he was going to go out and make his own opportunity. Reed showed up and made his opportunity and basically gave himself major heel heat. He attacked Rollins. Rollins fought back for a bit, was down. Then he hit him with the tsunami. Then he hit him with another tsunami, I think like 7 or 8 tsunamis in total. The officials were coming in. It was total chaos, pandemonium, but he kept going back and hitting Rollins with the tsunami. At one point, Rollins, it looked like he was internally bleeding, as Michael Cole said. He probably had like a little blood capsule in there. It wasn't too much. It was good, very effective. Rollins was stretchered off. Now, that's how you get heel heat. And that's how you jump almost in a second out of the mid-card. You attack one of the hottest stars in the company, one of the most established stars, one of the biggest baby faces, beloved Seth Rollins, and you attack him brutally and you put him out. Now, I think Rollins does need some time off, so that's why he's actually not going to be on for the next few weeks. But storyline-wise, it's because of what Bronson Reed did to him. Now, follow up to the episode of the 12th, Bronson Reed threatened Adam Pearce that he was going to find his next victim if Pearce didn't give him an opponent. R-Truth, in a bit of a comedy segment, accidentally booked The Miz against Bronson Reed, thinking he had got him an Intercontinental title shot. You know, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker. Anyway, regardless, Reed beat The Miz. It was going to go for a second tsunami. R-Truth got in the way, and then R-Truth took several tsunamis, and R-Truth is out. So in 2 weeks, Bronson Reed went from this sort of mid-card guy that was like a bit tough, but now this guy basically put out one of the biggest stars, top baby faces in the company, and also put out seemingly one of the most beloved baby faces, the R-Truth. Now, I think it's Rollins who's eventually going to come back and find revenge, and we're going to get a program between Rollins and Bronson Reed. I don't know if it's going to be for the next PLE or the one after that, but for the time being, Rollins is not part of the whole Punk and Drew thing. That story is going to continue. He's eventually going to get back into the mix there probably, but he's now going to have a feud with Bronson Reed. which is going to be amazing for Reed. And I think Rollins definitely has a reason to make that feud have a lot of heat on Reed and a lot of excitement and a lot of eyeballs watching. Very unexpected, out of nowhere. Good job. Gunther kicking off the show wasn't unexpected. Neither was Ludwig Kaiser introducing him for old time's sake. In fact, it makes sense. The brand new world heavyweight champion, and probably the world heavyweight champion for a while, Gunther likes to hold on to his belts, was out there at the start of the show. Understandably, the audience started saying, "You deserve it," but then he quickly went really heel on them, so they started booing him. What was unexpected was Randy Orton coming out to challenge him. Okay, this one wasn't completely out of left field. They did, after all, set this up several months ago at the King of the Ring, even having Triple H comment on how a rematch was inevitable or how Gunther would want it, and that's exactly what happened. I just didn't think it would happen this quickly, but in retrospect, even though Orton's on SmackDown, it does make perfect sense because you want a strong veteran babyface that can lose to Gunther as a heel, but also could potentially be for a night a situational heel in Germany when Gunther is definitely going to be the babyface. And this is also going to be an incredible. The last match was great at King of the Ring. This is definitely, I think, going to be an even better match. The graphic for it alone looks great too. I'm very excited for this match. I was excited the moment Orton's music hit, but the back and forth was good too. I mean, it was more of a respectful thing, like, hey, you didn't beat me, well, now I'm going to beat you, and the whole I want to see it. I want you to see it coming. Talking about the RKO, of course. The follow up on the episode of the 12th, it was eventually interrupted by Drew McIntyre, which allowed Orton to actually hit the RKO on Gunther. That got a little bit more personal. Gunther went after Orton's legendary wrestling grandfather, father, and basically Orton's own failings in the industry, how he was sort of a bit of a screw up at the start, which is something he's admitted. It's kind of like he was doing with Damian Priest. He's not calling him street trash, but he's definitely saying that, like, I'm together and you're not, or you never were, and you're unpredictable. I'm respectable. So that's an interesting dynamic to have for that match. And it's probably one of the matches I'm most excited for on the Bash at Berlin card. I mean, there's only, I think, 2 matches announced, but still, I think this is going to carry through as one of the more exciting sort of makeshift feuds that have happened. Sidebar, we got a very good match after this. Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. Sheamus won, but this feud is bound to continue, maybe even at Bash at Berlin. And by what happened on the 12th, it might be a triple threat involving Pete Dunne. That could be interesting. And then All Rise. Now, what happened with the Judgment Day, or the new Judgment Day versus the Terror Twins, wasn't surprising at all. It followed naturally from what happened at SummerSlam on this episode and on the episode on the 12th. But it definitely represents almost a tectonic shift in one of the main storylines of Raw for the past few years, actually. So we had Damian Priest come out, demand Finn Balor come out to get a beating. Crowd's really into Priest now. He's really over as a babyface. Of course, Balor didn't come out at that moment. Instead, he appeared on the screen and revealed the new Judgment Day of himself, Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan, JD McDonough, and Carlito with the apple. This was the alignment of the Judgment Day that I definitely expected. I jokingly posted online that I was disappointed in Carlito because it would have been really funny if he went with the Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley faction, the 2 people who didn't want him in Judgment Day at all and stayed babyface. But he's in with this group, so that makes sense. Of course, Balor didn't want to fight Priest that night, or said he wouldn't. Instead, he sends JD McDonough. They had a couple of sort of backstage promos. Priest versus McDonough was almost a squash if it wasn't for Dominic Mysterio and Carlito at ringside, until it ended when Balor came down. Liv too, they all ganged up on Priest, and then there's my brutality. Rhea Ripley hit the ring, massive babyface pop. She takes out Liv. She helps Priest take out McDonough. The heel Judgment Day flee, and the Terror Twins reunite and hug. Now take this and add what happened last night, the 12th, with the opening promo with Rhea interrupted by Liv and Dom. Priest comes in, concession stand fight, back to the ring. There's a match later, Priest versus Carlito. It kind of mirrored what happened in this episode, except last time Dom saved Liv. This time Liv saved Dom from getting the riptide. Anyways, we also found out that there's actually going to be a mixed tag match at Bash at Berlin. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. So taken all together, especially focused on what happened in this episode, this is exactly where I thought the Judgment Day was going to go. I think a lot of people thought it was going to go this way after what happened at SummerSlam. They didn't really have any other choice, but this is still a major feud. This is what I think everyone wants to see, or what most people want to see almost above other stuff. This is really good storytelling, really good development. It's this new heel Judgment Day. It kind of gave Judgment Day a new breath of fresh air, and it definitely gave Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest the Terror Twins. I think that's what they're going to call themselves now. They've already started, hinted at WrestleMania, but started recently. Gave them a breath of like massive crowd appeal. The boos for Dom have been and will continue to be palpable. Liv, I think, is a great foil for him. I think they made the right choice at SummerSlam, and they're sticking the course. And while it's definitely wasn't a surprise, it isn't a surprise, it's definitely a good change, I think, on the landscape of Raw. Odyssey Jones taking out both Authors of Pain and Karrion Kross to help out the New Day was definitely a surprise. In fact, you might say who when I say Odyssey Jones. That means you weren't paying attention last year when he was drafted to the main roster, or the year before that when he was on NXT. Yeah, Odyssey Jones was drafted to the main roster in 2023 and hasn't done anything on TV since. And then seemingly out of nowhere, he showed up to help Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston when they were fighting the Authors of Pain and basically the Final Testament. Now, this was a shocking debut because no one thought it was going to coming anytime soon. People had almost forgotten about him. And people almost thought that maybe he was just going to be released at some point when his contract was up or go back to NXT. But no, he's debuted. And if you see the following episode, the 12th, he actually, Kofi Kingston's very high on him and forced basically Xavier Woods to come out and support Odyssey in this first match, which was essentially a squash match. And they started on the 8th and continuing on the 12th. The whole dissension in the New Day, possibly replacing Xavier with Odyssey Jones, which was hinted at by Karrion Kross, might actually be a thing. Or, honestly, what I think is maybe Big E, they realized he's finally not going to return. So at least as an active wrestler, he'll still be on commentary. So maybe they'll actually make the New Day a 3-person faction again with Odyssey Jones. Regardless, I was shocked, and this was a hell of a way to debut a talent that we had almost all forgotten about. The main event on the 8th in Baltimore was the in-ring debut of the Wyatt Six, specifically Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, and Dexter Lumis, versus American Made. That's the Creed brothers and Chad Gable as Bo Dallas in Uncle Howdy garb, and Nikki Cross as Sister Abigail looked on. I thought this was a great debut. I really like how the Wyatts come to the ring with all the spooky music and the masks and everything, and then take them off and wrestle as, wrestlers playing these characters in the ring. It's kind of reminiscent of Demolition, which is kind of a weird comparison, but actually, no, it's a very apt comparison. Just I didn't think I'd go to the 80s and the tag team scene, but yeah, it works. I also think American Made's a good name for the new Gable group. The fact is the old guys are keeping Alpha Academy. I think American Made is a good new direction for them, a new heel direction. I was very satisfied with the end of the show. We also got a great match between Io Sky and Sonya Deville. Of course, how could it not be great when Io Sky is in the match? She's fantastic. She's really fun to watch, really exciting to watch, high flying, the whole deal. They continued the feud between Damage Control, now for the time being, unfortunately, minus Dakota Kai, and the New Fusion Collective. Now, I'm not so thrilled with that name. It sounds, I don't know what it sounds like, but the New Fusion Collective is Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark. They could have come up with something better. But anyways, I'm interested to see where that goes, and I'm hoping somebody makes fun of their name. I don't know. Anyways, though, I couldn't take any of those women in the fight. So if you like the name, keep it. You do you. And now let's talk about that backstage segment between Sami Zayn and main event Jey Uso. This is particularly notable, not because they announced for the following Raw, the one on the 12th, that there will be a 2 out of 3 falls rematch for the Intercontinental title, Sami versus Braun Breaker, but that Jey confirmed what I have been thinking all along, is that the two of them, Sami and Jey, beat the World Tag Team Champions, the Judgment Day, Balor and McDonough, I almost said Priest, in a non-title match. So they're the number one contenders for the tag titles. And Jey said, yeah, after you become that champion, you're going to become a double champion. We're going to win the tag titles. I think we all knew Sami wasn't going to win the Intercontinental rematch. But yes, I did a whole video, the fact that there's Bloodline on one show with the WWE Tag Team titles and ex-OG Bloodline on the other show, potentially winning those things. Check out that video there somewhere. I don't know. Check that out. Speaking, though, of the 2 out of 3 falls Intercontinental title rematch, it was the main event of the August 12th Raw from Austin, Texas. And honestly, it was the best Sami versus Braun match we've had, including the SummerSlam match and the Money in the Bank match. I am HO. I'm a huge Sami Zayn fan, so I always like Sami Zayn winning. I didn't think he was going to win here because I think he's going on to Tag Team Gold, and I think Braun has the title. It made sense to do a 2 out of 3 falls match so Sami can win in one of the falls. He won the first fall. It's still very exciting. With like 10 minutes left, they went to commercial. He won the first fall after they came back from commercial with like 10 minutes left in the show. Had another commercial, and then Braun won the second fall, and it was so exciting. Even though I was sure that Braun was going to win, I thought for a couple of times Sami might pull it off with like a roll up at one point. And well, the hula kick is how he got the first one, but like it was incredibly exciting. It was brutal. Breaker is strong and this really showcased his strength. I think it was the best match of the 3 between the two of them. It was a great main event. So these were my assorted thoughts on the August 5th, 2024 WWE Raw, with a few thrown in from the August 12th, 2024 WWE Raw. So do you agree with me? Do you agree with all my thoughts? Some of them, none of them? Do you not mind how I prioritized the August 5th show to make sure I got it in and sort of shoehorned in the other one and to get back to a normal pacing soon enough? Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Wrestling on X, at Silo Voice Wrestling on Instagram and Facebook, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. I will catch you next time. For Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.